Alright guys, now we're talking about my second most played mobile suit, GM, and whether you should main it in Gundam Evolution. So, GM is a support enforcer, meaning it's a mobile suit that has damage, healing capabilities, and tanky abilities. Its damage comes from its solid primary fire, its C4 detonator bomb, its healing is its grenade, and its tanky abilities are its shield and its bash ability. It's tanky, but it's not fully tanky, so don't expect to be playing like a proper tank like Sazabi. Um, Essentially, it's just not capable of tanking in front of a full team when they have full resources. GM plays by damaging enemies, supporting its teammates until an opportunity arises, and when the opportunity arises, this is where the enforcer part comes in. It pushes into the space and it has enough tankiness to be able to survive this sort of aggression when the enemy's weak, while also having extra damage so that it can deal enough damage to frag out the enemies. So that's essentially what an enforcer is. It's similar to something like an RX-78 Gundam that has the same sort of thing where, like I said, it waits for resources to go down and then it pushes in with its tankiness and its damage and destroys them. To cover a little bit of specifics, GM is a close to medium range support mobile suit. It has a hit scan pistol as its primary fire damage. It can 4-shot headshot as it does 180 to the body and 270 to the head. It also has a 1300 HP self shield, which is kind of a lot. And it can also use it at the same time as its primary fire, and it's on a resource bar, so it's not a cooldown like RX-78's is. However, it does have only one dash ability. It also only has 800 hit points, but its shield, healing grenade, and bash ability give it a high amount of tankiness regardless. And if I was to compare it to some other game, to Overwatch character, it's pretty similar to a balanced and less oppressive version of Brigitte that has ranged capabilities. So, on to how good it is. GM is a very, very, very good mobile suit. I had a lot of fun playing the game during the network test because of it. It doesn't do the absolute greatest damage with its primary fire, but its shield makes up for that and allows it to win a lot of 1v1s against other mobile suits. If they have stuns, though, it can get a bit dicey, but its hitbox isn't so big that it gets trashed easily like Sazabi does. So that makes it a lot less painful to play against them. Its C4 ability, its detonator bomb is extremely good. It does a very high amount of AoE damage over a short time, which is 900 damage. It is remotely triggerable too, meaning you can plant it on the inside of a door, and when enemies walk through it, you blow them up, and you can do that very consistently. They'll take a lot of damage from it, and you can walk in and finish them up afterwards. It's just really convenient to do that. However, it's not convenient in the way that it functions because it is has a very small distance that it travels when you use it. So if you toss it, it literally goes like, so just barely in front of GM. And so you can't use it like aggressively mid-fight that well unless you toss it around a corner. So don't expect to use it like that. Expect it to plant it early and then maybe try and sneak one in, but not like you can throw it like a grenade. Its bash is also very useful. It gives it a better ability to push off enemies that get close to it and peel off flankers from a teammate. And its G maneuver is very powerful. It can be used as an area of denial ability, which scales very highly at high ranks because you understand, you get more and more value from denying areas of the map. And it's also just able to frag enemies. You toss it into the back line, toss it into a room, and you'll very likely get kills. Each of them do 400 damage and they chase enemies. There's 5 of them, so they will still get a lot of damage, especially if they're clumped up. You can hit a couple enemies at once with them. You can also adjust the spread of them. So if you aim it up when you're throwing, or you jump them, or you jump while you're throwing, it'll spread out more, meaning you can get a wider coverage of threat range. If you understand the character well when you're playing it, this ultimate can be a fight-winning ultimate by itself, which is very, very valuable to have. Not so you don't have to rely on other people as much. Its healing grenade is also quite solid. It has a high healing potential, but it's clunky to use as it has the same problem as a detonator bomb, where it just doesn't travel very far. It's just very slow and doesn't travel far, so it's hard to use. So you mainly just throw it on yourself. Seems selfish, but that's what you do. So in general, though, while it has limited mobility and lower health, its other capabilities allow you to play around it and make it still very, very powerful. For skill requirement, mechanical skill, we're going to give it a moderate mechanical skill requirement, mainly because of the aim that is required. However, it can use its other capabilities to make up for the same. If it's poor, like use your detonator bomb that doesn't require aim, your grenade that doesn't require aim, and the bash does require a little bit, but not too much. So that, along with the shield, can make up for not having the greatest mechanical skill. As for game knowledge, we're also going to give it a moderate requirement. But to maximize the potential of the character, you do need to know a lot, because there are a lot of things that you can know. Knowing exactly when to push is really, really big, because if you don't push when opportunities are available, you will miss chances to win fights. Knowing who to target, who to pocket with your healing, who not to try and heal, where to set up your detonator bomb, predicting when to use it, and how to use your ultimate. These are all really, really valuable. Knowing how far you can stretch your character, what kind of 1v1s you can take, micro decisions you can push as hard as possible will make you really, really good. And the reason it's getting a moderate requirement, and despite of all this, is because it has a self shield and its healing abilities that make it so it doesn't get punished for a lot of mistakes you can make. So, will the character get buffed or nerfed soon? I don't really expect GM to receive like too many drastic changes. It is very, very strong, but it isn't so oppressive, and that's usually what causes changes, when people feel this difference in capability. However, it's still likely to receive some changes. If it were to receive changes, the changes that it would likely get or something like a change onto his shield health, which I would say is potentially likely. Having 1300 on GM is kind of a lot. This may come off as a trade-off for a quality of life buff to the way that the grenade works. If it was to be given a grenade that travels a far distance, that might be, they might just trade those two. I could potentially see them even making it so the grenade has 2 of them and it's on a cooldown. Slightly different, so that you can have, 2 total, right? And they make it throw it so it throws better and it throws faster and it heals for less at the same time, and lower the shield health a little bit, so it's more of a healer than just a tankier enforcer. And honestly, I could likely see its C4 detonator get a nerf. It didn't feel super oppressive. That's the thing, like I'm saying, it doesn't feel oppressive, so people aren't going to notice it's bad and complain about it. But it's still really, really high damage, and its G maneuver will stay the same. So, how fun was it though? Like I said, really, really, really fun. I played a lot of it during the network test, only behind Sotheby, so it was my second most played, and it rewards you for your skill, and it gives you a mechanical aspect at the same time. So you have the mechanical aspect, but you're also able to carry your games based on how well you understand it, which is how I like to play games. Hitting headshots from protection of your shield and bullying enemies that would potentially, beat you in another game. Another game where support shouldn't be losing these type of characters. So that's pretty fun. Slapping enemies who jump onto you with a bash is kind of weird, but it still leans into the enforcer power concept. It's weird because of the way it flings the enemy. It doesn't like stun them, it just like slaps them and they just fly off. And it just in general allows you to be both a tank and have the capability to support yourself and a teammate. It gives you the mechanical aspect of aiming and movement of Gun Evo, but it still gives you the alternative to just this raw gunplay, which is nice. Also, its C4 detonator might be the best ability, the best feeling ability in the game when you're hitting on multiple enemies. Just the way that it ticks, and then seeing the enemy like struggling in the fire and knowing that you can just push in and just kill them is a large portion of what made me play the character. I know that when I was playing it, I would go for too many detonator bombs because I just wanted to use it, and I wanted the way it would frag enemies and the way it sounded. And honestly, I really like the way its chain maneuver worked. There's lots of fun ways you can use it, lots of value, and it just feels solid to use. And like it feels good. Final rating for how good of a main it is, in my opinion, S tier. Simply put, a lot of this is just because it's really powerful, but this isn't the main reason it's getting such a high rating. It's getting a high rating because it's permanently going to be meta. It and Metis are the only 2 proper killers in the game, so they're probably going to be permanently meta, and they support each other well, where the GM will help peel the Metis and they will play together. So because of this, you're not going to get into a game and have a problem with people complaining about you playing your character like they will if it's a non-meta character. The character does also thrive with high game knowledge, so you can improve and get better and better, but it also is solid at all ranks, meaning it scales properly. So you're not going to have any issues with your character not becoming viable when you go better up the ladder. It also does good things in regards to learning other characters. It trains your aim, but also trains your game knowledge so that you know how to carry the game outside of just clicking on things. And because of this, it transfers well into other mobile suits. It transfers well into Sotheby because it has a similar space production concept, a simpler like tanking space controlling sort of thing. It's similar to RX-78 because they're both enforcers who wait for cooldowns to be down, wait for opportunities, and push into the space and frag enemies. And its aim mechanics will flex onto any hit scan mobile suit, especially GM, Ashimar, and RX-78 Gundam. And its healing focus will, while it's not the primarily healing, well, it's not like mainly healing focused, it will help you learn more of Metis and any other healing mobile suits they add in the future. And as I said before, it's unlikely to receive any nerfs that will make it lose enough of good status, so you're not going to be concerned about that either. Is Jim the right mobile suit for you? Then check out this mobile suit guide I made for it. In the video I talk about its abilities, its strengths and weaknesses, when to play the character, and how to play it. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.